Guys, I cannot believe we're here. The Cowboys are actually on a football field playing football. We don't have to hear about all of these off-season stories about what we are having to still talk about what Jerry said, but we're not hearing all of this crazy ESPN, Fox Sports stuff about Dak Prescott's lunch, right? We actually have these guys on the field in Oxnard for training camp. Now, I know it was day one. I know that these guys don't have the pads on yet. They're still running around in shorts and a t-shirt, but they do have their helmets on. And today was day one of practice. And I have a lot of takeaways that I want to share with you guys. I wanted to get on here, show you some of the highlights from practice, what stood out to me, what it means for the 2025 season, what it means moving forward in training camp. So let's not waste any more time and get into it. Something I want you guys to keep an eye on, and I'll make sure to point it out as we break down these plays from today, but I want you to watch how much motion this offense has. Like tons and tons and tons of guys motioning. I think like 4 or 5 different reporters talked about how much these guys were moving around pre-snap. I saw someone tweet, I can't remember who it was, that said it seemed like 90% of the time there was pre-snap motion. And based on these videos that we're going to watch, I believe it. Like Lamb motion across to Pickens side, a play that we're going to talk about in this video. You know, Tolbert motions across, Turpin's in motion. Like these guys are moving around. Sometimes it's for a purpose. Sometimes it's setting up a play call that you're going to have in 4 or 5 plays or on the same drive. Sometimes they're just motioning to get guys' eyes, like get linebackers looking across the formation, taking their eyes off of this guy or that guy. Like this offense isn't stagnant. Like I said, I know it's day one, but they're not just standing there. So it's a different look of an offense compared to what we've seen in the past with Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan, Mike McCarthy. Like just stand in your spot, run your route, don't let Dak get any of his keys based on how the defense is adjusting to these guys. Like nothing. And you guys are about to see it. It really does help. Like it helps Dak. And I don't want to do it to myself because we've seen Cowboys coaches in the past say that they're going to do this and that. And by the end of training camp in August, all of the things that they were doing to start camp have just kind of disappeared. And then we're right back to square one with the same thing that we've seen a million times. But I'm telling you guys, based on what we saw in today's practice number 1, it was motion, motion, motion. And speaking of something different, that brings us to play number 1 of the day. Something real different and real fun. It's kind of hard to see from this angle. You guys know that from training camp. A lot of people are field level, so it's hard to really tell what's going on. It's not the all 22 version or anything, but Lamb motions across, but check out who's in the backfield. That is Turpin, and we can't tell much about how many yards this play picks up or that play picks up in training camps. It's really hard to tell where a guy would have been tackled, but on this one, I think it's a touchdown in a game, like pretty easily. Lamb motions across, which is beautiful. They run a halfback stretch, get Turpin speed to really test those edges. Those linebackers are probably freaking out when they realize that they've handed it off to him because you have to find Turpin through all of those bodies and then somehow beat him to the spot. Beat him to that gap. And it's just not gonna happen. He's probably out the gate with this one. This one's probably a touchdown. And I really just wanted to kind of point out those two things. It seems like we're gonna be seeing some of the stuff we begged Mike McCarthy to implement. And I just kind of wanted to point out those two things. Obviously, we talked about the motion to start this video, but they're doing stuff that we begged Mike McCarthy to do. Like line these guys up and move them around, make the defense question what they're seeing. And then you have a guy like Turpin in the backfield. Like these linebackers, these defenders are going to be wondering, why is Turpin in the backfield? Why is Lamb motioning across? Their eyes are going everywhere. What's happening? And even if it just makes them a step late, a guy with Turpin speed is going to take advantage of it. So I love this one from Brian Schottenheimer. I thought it was great. He's out the gate with this one. There's not a whole lot of for sure touchdown runs in training camp, but this one was. So let's get into a couple players that stood out, and we're going to get to the name that I think everyone clicked on this video 4, and that is George Pickens. This first play is all about why these guys need to get on the same page, why it's important for a wide receiver, and although Pickens is a veteran, to really get in there, get reps with the offense, get reps with Dak specifically, because they got to be on the same page when the season gets here. They can go throw out in the backyard as much as they want, but having 11 defenders, an 11-on-11, team drill stuff, that's where you're going to make your money in a game. Once again, there's that motion that we talk about. CeeDee Lamb, once again, across the formation. And my favorite part about this is it's going to Pickens' side, which is an absolute nightmare for any of these DBs or opponent DBs. Like, this play isn't flashy or anything, but it's get to a spot, be ready for the ball to come your way. Dak is quick with the release. Pickens is where he's supposed to be, and now he's got a chance to pick up some yards. And I'm not even gonna bring up the end of this play because Pickens does fumble, and we're gonna talk about that as well. The defense was really nasty today with the punch outs, but good on everything before that. Good on the defense, not so good on Pickens and the offense. Keep that ball high and tight. But overall, I loved what I was seeing with Pickens gets to a spot. Dak, trust him to be there, knows he's going to be there. It's not super flashy, but it is a really nice step towards these guys being 100% on the same page. So let's look at another George Pickens play, something that we've seen a million times with Mike McCarthy and even Kellen Moore, and not in a bad way. Dak's great with these play-action bootlegs, levels concept on the move. You got Ferguson and then Pickens. Someone else is probably off the screen at the top, but this is a play that the Cowboys have had a ton of success with in the past. It works well when they can run the ball, get the defense moving one way, make these corners carry guys across the field, or guys keep in their zone and don't lose these wide receivers, and really make the linebackers move to the right just to throw to the left. A play like this, and we've talked about it with Shoddy and his play calls, what the offense is going to look like. Something like this is going to remain on the call sheet. Shoddy is going to do things that Dak does well, and this is definitely one of those. This time, though, you have a playmaker with Pickens, and in a game, that's an easy 25, 30, 40 yards, and the offense is rolling. Once again, if you can run the ball well, or you can make this play look like 5 different plays, it's going to be a lot more effective than what we've seen in the past. And even though it was a little stale, a little boring, something that they kind of went to maybe a little too often without having a real plan, it's going to work, especially if you can run the ball, especially with a guy like Pickens catching it. And before we get to our next player, I just wanted to point out that Dak did have a really good day. It's been a while since we've seen him on the field. He's coming back from the hamstring injury. He was out there, he was moving well, had a really nice pass to CeeDee after bobbling the snap. I know he did have an interception, but overall, the plays that I saw, he was slinging it. The offense looked good. Lamb and Pickens right now look as good as advertised. This is really just the beginning of what it's going to look like with a legit wide receiver 2, how effective Lamb can be, how effective Pickens can be. And although we're not going to talk about it in this video, what it means for other guys on this offense, because Jake Ferguson was catching balls, Jalen Tolbert was too. Like, just overall, thought the offense had a great day. For our next guy, let's stay in the quarterback room, and that is with Joe Milton. I'm probably the most excited to see Milton out of any of the Cowboys on the field, and it's not because of what he means for the 2025 season or even for the 2026 season. I'm just interested because we really don't know anything about the guy. Like, sure, we saw him play, week 18 against the Bills, but before that at Tennessee, he was a 6th-round pick. There's some questions about his ability to read the field, make accurate throws, but we know he has an absolute cannon. And would you be surprised to find out he was showing that off today? Play action. The rush does get home, so it does seem like he's kind of throwing off of his back foot here, but I think it's because the defender just kind of gave up, don't hit the guy in the red jersey. So he does kind of throw this one off his back foot. I'm not sure his platform as good as you would want it to be, but just how effortlessly he flicks this ball from the 2 or 3 yard line all the way to the opposite 40. Like, that is just insane. Now, Brooks couldn't get his feet in bounds, couldn't stay in bounds. I don't think this pass would have been completed. But just right off the bat, right at the beginning of camp, you're seeing the physical tools that this guy has. Does it mean a whole lot for the 2025 season? I don't know. Probably not. Hopefully Dak does stay healthy and we don't really have to find out right now. But Milton is going to be so much fun to watch throughout all of these practices. I'm going to talk about Milton as much as humanly possible. And I do want to point out to you guys, I know that we talked about Trey Lance, what he meant when he came in as the backup quarterback. The Cowboys traded a 4th-round pick for him. I'm telling you right now, Joe Milton is going to have so much more success and so much more hype around him than we ever saw with Trey Lance. He is going to do things that Trey Lance never did. And this play, the first one, is exactly what I'm talking about. The second play, another play action. Once again, the rush does get home, gets to the top of his drop, but it's this stuff right here where he's able to just take a little half step, shuffle up into the pocket a little bit, and throw a really nice ball to Jalen Tolbert. Like, it's kind of weird to me to see a backup Cowboys quarterback have pressure in his face and just be able to flick his wrist and throw it, another 20 to 25 yards. Once again, is it the most impressive play you're going to see at training camp, all of training camp? No, we just haven't seen a guy be able to do these things. And then finally, the last play for Joe Milton that I'm going to show today, the rush was getting home way too much against the backup offensive line, and that's what I'm kind of worried about when we get into the preseason. The preseason offensive line play is abysmal. Actually, offensive line play around the entire NFL is pretty meh. Like, if you have good offensive linemen, if you have 2 or 3, you're killing it, right? But I worry about when Milton gets into preseason action, that the offensive line literally isn't going to be able to hold up, and we're not going to get to see his full potential, what he can do as a playmaker. But my favorite play of the day from him, not just because it's a touchdown throw, but his ability to slide up in the pocket again and actually be able to attack the middle part of the field, the deep middle part of the field. He throws a beautiful ball right in between the 2 high safeties, and it's easily one of the biggest things that young quarterbacks tend to struggle with, is finding and being able to exploit the middle of the field, because they're just a little, gun shy to throw it across because there's a lot of bodies. You might miss a linebacker, you might miss a guy that's dropped down. They're typically a little gun shy to do that, but Milton just steps up in the pocket and rips it. I feel like we've talked about a lot of offense, and I promise throughout training camp, we are going to talk plenty of defense because they did some stuff that I really liked today. But once again, they're not tackling. It's kind of hard to see. I know Marshawn Nealon had an interception against Dak. That's right, a defensive end. The defense, I mentioned it earlier, they were knocking the ball out. The defense is just punching. So I think I've been talking for a while now. That's really all I got for you guys today. If you enjoy videos like this where I sit here, break down plays from the day at training camp or from a training camp practice, please head down to the comments and let me know. Also, like this video. That's how I know that you guys are enjoying the content, or if I need to do something else, shake it up a little bit. So head down there, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and comment your favorite play from today, what gets you the most excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow because we officially have Cowboys football. I'm so re-energized. I'm just ready to go, ready to talk real, actual football. So I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow.